how to track the enemy jungler like a pro. On top of that, you'll learn a secret trick that I promise you'll have never heard before. This video is jammed packed full of useful tips from start to finish, so we highly recommend you watch the whole thing. We'll also be going over a challenger replay from the Korean pro player Rush. For those of you who don't already know, Rush has played in China, Korea and North American pro scenes and has made headlines recently when he was traded to Echo Fox from KT Rolster. Before we hop into the replay, let's briefly cover what route Rush will be using. To start, he gets wards in both pixel brushes. He does his red, raptors, wolves, and then blue. He'll hit level 3 off these 4 camps, and then move to secure the scuttle with the power spike. This path is used if your level 2 is much weaker than the enemy junglers, and if you're playing a champion that becomes a good deal stronger at level 3. One of the core strengths of this route is that when we do our red into raptors, we'll be able to scout if the enemy rushes an early scuttle. We can then pivot off raptors to the opposite scuttle. Essentially, by doing raptors, it's a stalling move that allows us to avoid committing to the other side of the map too early. At the same time, it allows us to hit level 3 relatively fast. Okay, so let's jump into a replay of Rush playing in Korean Challenger. He begins by running to the top side pixel brush. This is something that he does in every single game. The reason for this is that it's closer to his side of the map, so he can get there before anyone else can on the enemy team. At the same time, he moves through the banana brush before entering the pixel brush, which makes it super safe and hard for the enemy to spot him if they are invading. In comparison, the enemy would have to move through the open and would be easily spotted. One other benefit is that if you are spotted, it can sometimes fool the enemy into thinking that you're starting at your blue. If you find yourself not knowing what to do before minions spawn, then we'd recommend incorporating this into your gameplay. So Gragas gets a leash on his red and immediately notices that the enemy bot has shown in lane. This reveals that they're not leashing for the enemy Lee Sin, so we can deduce that he's starting at his red. The Gragas then moves to his raptors. Let's pause briefly, as this is the first timing all junglers should be aware of. From 1 minute 50 to 1 minute 55 is when you should see the enemy jungler in your pixel brush if he was doing red into scuttle. However, as many of you have pointed out in previous videos, the enemy can also move through the top lane tri-brush, or if they have a dash, jump over the wall, allowing them to sneak the scuttle and avoid your ward. But there's actually a secret trick to spotting this that not even a lot of pro players know about. So when a scuttle spawns, it always moves toward the mid lane before walking back. This happens from 2 minutes to 2:05. If an enemy tries to sneakily avoid your wards and kills the scuttle in the fog of war, then you can actually know this since the scuttle won't appear in your ward at this time. Additionally, the scuttle will then reappear at the 2:18 to 2:28 mark. Once again, if we don't see the scuttle in our ward at this time, then we know it's being killed. This is how you can spot an enemy trying to sneak a rift scuttle. Okay, great. Now let's go back to the replay. Rush has finished his raptors and is moving towards his blue side. A lot of people wonder what goes through a pro player's mind. I want to take a moment to show you exactly what Rush would be thinking about. He knows that Lee Sin started red buff, and from this he knows there's 4 possible routes that Lee Sin could be doing. The first one is red into scuttle. However, Rush knows that Lee Sin isn't doing this path since he never showed in the pixel brush ward and by using the scuttle trick mentioned earlier. At the same time, Jax has been overextended and would have likely been ganked by now, so we can cross that one off the list. The second one is red into raptors into scuttle. We know that Lee Sin isn't doing this route either, as he would have shown in the pixel brush ward by the 2:15 timing.